On today's DNVR Broncos show, we're looking back at the past to talk about a fiery Sean Payton. We're looking at the Chargers game. Then we're looking forward to what happened this past weekend and what the Broncos need to happen moving forward. And we're on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick would say. And we're having our guy, Brian Baldinger, on with us today as well. And it all starts now. Will it be a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays for the Broncos with a clinch on their playoff spot this week? We're going to break it down, but before we look forward, we're going to look back. And of course, we are the DNVR Broncos Podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And we are presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up to get all the offers. And we, our Super Bowl 50 champ, Todd Davis. You're here behind the camera. Zach Stevens rocking and rolling with you guys today. Todd, Merry Christmas week.
Merry Christmas, man. It's going to be a great week for myself. I don't know about the Broncos.
Oh.
I feel like it will be. But nevertheless, I'm going to have a good time.
First time, long time. Broncos are underdogs this coming week. So you're right. Maybe it won't be as merry of a Christmas, but we can hope so. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. No doubt about that. But Todd, before we look forward, and we're going to dive into the Bengals today because, boy, do we have a ton to get to. So no wasting time here. We talked to Sean Payton yesterday, and really quick, some people were like, why is Sean Payton talking on a Sunday? Well, it's because the Broncos play this Saturday, so everything was moved up. So Sean usually talks to the media on Monday, but because they play on Saturday this week instead of Sunday, everything was moved up. So it wasn't like a spur-of-the-moment press conference where he was announcing that he was handing over play calling duties or that he was firing Vance Joseph. No, there was nothing like that. It was a normal press conference, except Sean Payton brought some fire with him, and he was taking shots, Todd, at the media. He was defending his team, and he was trying to move on to Cincinnati. But before he was able to move on, he took some shots. And so I thought that you guys would want to hear this, and I want to get your opinion. Do you like that Sean is looking outward and kind of pointing the finger outward? Well, he's also pointing the finger inward, but pointing the finger outward right now as the Broncos come off a really tough loss against the Chargers. And the first thing that he took a shot at, we all saw the clip go viral for the Amazon Prime broadcast, zooming in on his play sheet. And it's a picture of him holding his play sheet. You can't see what the plays are. Boy, you can see. It's at the top of the play sheet. In all caps, it says, "Run it." A message to himself to run the ball, which he did such a good job on in the first two series. I think first two series ran the ball like 8 times or something, and then he got away from it. So he was asked yesterday about that message, and he wasn't asked about, did you like that it was caught on camera? He was just asked, do you write those messages to yourself often on game days, and do you feel like you followed through with that message? And before he could get to the answer, he had to take a shot. So let's hear what Sean had to say.
Yeah, fair enough. I think number one, I don't like the fact that the network TV cameras feel like they can zoom into our call sheets, but it is what it is. It's just a reminder sometimes. There'll be little notes I'll put at the top of a section. Thought we ran it real well early in the game, first half. Second half, there's 2 series I kind of kicked myself where even when we did run it, it was the type of run we ran that wasn't as effective. But we had ample opportunities in that second half, and I thought our third down numbers obviously weren't where we wanted them to be. We couldn't get off the field defensively, and therefore we weren't able to keep the lead we had going in at halftime or coming out to start the second half.
Sean, you are one of the top coaches in the NFL. You're getting paid $20 million. You are in the front runner for Coach of the Year. Of course, the broadcasts are going to want to zoom in on you. I don't think they were like, they showed his face too. It wasn't like it was just the play sheet. Take this as a compliment. They want to see your face, and they want to put you on the broadcast. But seriously, what do you expect? You're the head coach of a team. They're going to zoom in on you. If you don't want that there, put a blank sheet of paper on the other side.
Yeah, you do see some coaches put the blank sheet or put a white background so that they can't see the plays. For me, I feel like it's tough though because even if I zoom in and see your plays, first you got to diagnose like what each word is, and then you got to know what each word means.
Right.
I feel like it would be so hard to try and like dissect a play sheet just for me. And then I got to read your lips to know when you're calling it. And it's only like 30 seconds before I got to tell my team what you're running. Like, it would be so hard to try and get some of those plays. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe the Patriots and Bill Belichick could tell us how to do it. But
it's true.
I don't know.
Or you go to Michigan
and
you hire some of their. Or, the Broncos were playing the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh was with Michigan. Maybe Sean's onto something. Maybe that's how the first half flipped so hard to the second half in this game.
What he was running. That's tough.
Jim just had that broadcast dialed into his ear, so he knew exactly what was happening. So I just thought that was a little fun one. One that wasn't so fun for Broncos fans was how that first half ended.
Yeah.
And I know you guys talked about it on the postgame show. I know you talked about it on Friday. But Sean really took a shot at the media when talking about the end of the first half. Let's reset really quick. Chris Abrams-Drain makes a heck of a play, picks off Justin Herbert, swings the momentum at the end of the first half. Instead of the Chargers getting 3 points or getting 7 points to make it a close game, Broncos have the ball 21-10, 41 seconds left. Broncos have 2 timeouts. They're on their 18-yard line. And Sean says, we're going for it. We're going to try to get some points right here. And at that moment, I don't know what people were saying, if it was the right or wrong call, but after the fact, with hindsight being 2020, how it ended, the Broncos end up punting the ball. Traymon Smith gets that penalty. It gets the free catch kick for, Fair catch, free kick. Thank you. It gets that for the Chargers. Cameron Dicker hits the 57-yarder, gives them 3 points. After the fact, it was very much criticized.
Yeah.
And Sean did not like that criticism, to say the least. Todd, yesterday in his press conference, he was not asked about this moment. He was asked about a drive in the second half, if he liked the way he handled that. And he circled back. He went out of his way to talk about the criticism he received for this drive at the end of the first half. Let's hear what Sean had to say.
You're trying to shift the momentum. So much was made. I thought how do I say it? But one of the dumber storylines was the end of the half in regards to us being aggressive with 41 seconds, 2 timeouts. We punt the ball. The half's over with. I read more stuff that I just looked at and thought, this is garbage. Number one, it didn't shift the momentum. We got the ball back to start the second half, went down the field, kicked a field goal. We were back up 11.
Everyone that criticized him, it's the dumbest thing he's ever read, and it's garbage. Do you agree, Todd?
I think that in his like the way he's viewing it is like, hey, outside of a penalty, like it was no harm, no foul. Like if we don't get that penalty to allow them to have the fair catch free kick that gives them 15 extra yards, they're not kicking a field goal, and it was no harm, no foul. For me, I thought within the drive, like I understand going to get points. Usually you have like a drive starter. And I thought that their first play of the drive was like a negative play.
It was negative,
and then
3
usually
yards.
after that, you kind of like, all right, let's just kneel this thing out and get to the second half.
Yep.
But I understand them trying to keep momentum on their side because honestly, we were rolling on offense, and it felt like Justin Herbert and then we're picking up steam because that pick that Chris Abrams-James had, like that was in the red zone.
Yeah.
Like he's like 5 yards out from the end zone, and I think that they were picking up. So he's like, I got to find somewhere to get points on the board before the second half. But nonetheless, I think outside of that penalty, it would have been no harm, no foul.
I totally agree with you, Todd. And so I actually Don't blame Sean. 41 seconds left. You're on the 18-yard line. Bo, after the game, said every team is going to try to score
For sure.
in that position. But I totally agree with you. When you have that first play go backward, it was a pass to Javonte. He lost 3 yards. And the Broncos have 2 timeouts. They don't call a timeout. They go hurry up, get to the line. The Chargers also don't call a timeout. They're not trying to get the ball back because they also don't want to help the Broncos. So it seems like at that time, the Chargers are okay going into halftime. The Broncos snapped the ball on 2nd and 13 with 17 seconds left in the game, or in the first half. Okay, at that point, I get it. 41 seconds. You got 2 timeouts. Maybe you can get in field goal range. 17 seconds? Todd, you got to go 45 yards to get within like a 55-yard field goal at that point. Are you doing that with 17 seconds?
No, the odds of that happening are highly improbable. So I probably would have just found a way to get to the second half.
Yep.
Because I think the odds of you getting there just don't make sense.
And then at that point, not every team's trying. Probably most teams are just saying, okay, let's just run this out. In fact, the Broncos could have just let the play clock or could have got it down to like 10 and then handed the ball off. And the Chargers aren't going to be calling their timeouts then because you're just going to be able to run the clock out then. So that's where I disagree with Sean. I don't mind him going for it there. But then once that first play comes in, and you're right, that's kind of like a testing the waters play. If you get 12 yards, boom, you're calling timeout, you're getting out of bounds, you're spiking the ball. So that's where my issue was with that.
So after we had the negative play with Javonte, we went hurry up, we threw the ball, and it was incomplete, right?
Yep.
And then we run one more play, and that's when they started calling timeouts
Yep.
on the Charger sideline.
Yep.
So
They
I
called
think
one timeout.
The game was out of our hands at that point. Because
Yep.
if you do go hurry up, try to save your timeouts, you're hoping that you have more time on the clock. So
Yep.
if you do run the ball and they call timeout, there's not much we could do at this point. So it was over from the time we threw that incomplete ball on second down.
On second down, 100%. That's why you call it over. You just run the ball on second down, and you drain the clock out. And if they call a timeout, then you run another play. They call a timeout, and then I think pretty much the half would have been over at that point because of running plays takes some time. So that's where I disagree with Sean there. And who knows, maybe tomorrow when we talk to him, he'll have some strong words, even more strong words.
It's so tough because
it is.
They were fined. The half was over just by punting the ball.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the penalty, I mean, you don't take into account that when you're putting together plays,
right?
Or putting together decisions for your team. Like, worst case scenario, we'll punt it. Half's over, we're done. You're not thinking that there's a possibility that a play that hasn't happened since 1976 due to a penalty that they're going to be able to put this thing together and do a fair catch, free kick from what, almost like the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going through that type
That's
of
true.
1 in a million scenario.
Especially Tremont Smith. He's
your best, one of your best special teams players.
You don't expect him
and
to
I
commit
think he
that.
touched him with a shoelace.
It was weak.
Yeah.
It was so weak.
So I just think, I understand where he's coming from. Like, the odds of that happening are crazy.
Yeah. The odds of that happening are crazy. And speaking of good players, Todd, we might have got some really good injury news from Sean yesterday, and I want to touch on that after I give a shout out to our friends over at Live Well, where if you want to live well, you got to check out our friends over at Live Well. They've got 25 convenient cannabis store locations in Colorado with a premium selection and expert service that await you. Their knowledgeable, supportive staff are there to help you on your journey, whether it's edibles, cannabis flower, concentrates, and more. They've got it all. They also have a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value by matching the local competitors' prices on eligible products. Visit livewell.com to visit or to see your store, reserve products that you can buy in the store, and they can answer all of your questions as well if you stop by in the store. And if you place an order online, you still get 25% off by using the code DNVR25 at pickup to receive this discount. So reserve it online, go in store, tell them DNVR25, you're going to get 25% off one regular priced item. Restrictions apply. That's code DNVR25 in store, whether you're buying in store or just reserving online to get that discount. Restrictions apply.
And shout out to our friends over at Verizon. Are you tired of your phone bill draining your bank account? Wish you could use that money for something more fun and exciting? Well, Verizon, they feel your pain. For a limited time, new customers can get $800 in a prepaid MasterCard to pay off your current smartphone loan when you switch. $800. that's a good amount of money.
That is.
I got kids. I got 4 of them, so I know how far $800 goes, especially during Christmas time. That's a couple headphones.
Yeah.
That's a PS5. A lot of things you can get for $800. Just trade in any phone from their top brands with select unlimited plans. Verizon gives you the 5G network to power your entire day, and they've got you covered with their award-winning network performance. This deal won't last long, so don't get stuck on the bench. And again, it's $800. You can switch to Verizon today and take control of your game plan. Visit your local Verizon stores for details.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. And speaking of being stuck on the bench, Todd, one of the Broncos' best players has been stuck on the bench due to injury over the past couple of games. And as Victory Lap in the Toyota chat says, Boss Moss update? Oh, yeah, it's a Boss Moss update. We got a Riley Moss update from Sean Payton yesterday. The guy that doesn't like to talk about injuries brought this one up, which I think means extra good news. Let's hear this injury update from Sean Payton about Riley Moss. And he wasn't even asked about his injury. He just said, like, man, how much are you missing, Riley, right now? And here's what Sean had to say.
Yeah, look, we were and have been super excited. You know, obviously the guy that plays opposite of Patrick is going to get a lot of business and you know, all throughout training camp, he really rose to the occasion, battled, competed, and throughout really the good portion of the season, you know, he's a big reason why we were playing so well defensively. So the sooner the better when we can get him back in the lineup. Hopefully it can happen this weekend.
Oh, man, that would be huge. And that is the game that I think we've all identified, like, that's when they really need him back. Now, seeing all the free runners, wide receivers run over the field against the Chargers last week, maybe Broncos really could have used him last week, but you're going up against Joe Burrow, who is unstoppable right now. You're going up against Jamar Chase, who hopefully Pat Surtain follows 100% of the game. But they also have T. Higgins. They also have so many other weapons on that team. If the Broncos could have Riley Moss back this week, I think that would do wonders for this defense.
So it's not official, but we're hopeful.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it'll be good for him to come back. Hopefully he can make his way back because this game is important for the Broncos. We still have a lot of people like nipping at our heels trying to get this playoff spot. So it's important to win and win not just the last game of the season. I think it's important to win this one. So hopefully we can get him back. And fingers crossed, I guess.
And Todd, the Broncos banked on him coming back this week, or else they would have put him on IR.
Yeah.
Because if he misses this week, then they might have just put him on IR, got an extra roster spot. So I do think that he is going to be back, and I think that's very good news. Sean Payton has not given any update before yesterday on Riley Moss, so it's not like he said this every single week and he's missed every single week. This is the first time he's given a positive indication that Riley could be back. So I do expect him to be back. He practiced on a limited basis last week, which was more than he had done in weeks past, so I do think he's trending in the right direction. I think the short week hurt him for being able to return last week, so I think this is huge. And we're going to talk about just how big it is when we dive into Cincinnati. But Todd, you mentioned how there's some teams that just won't go away chasing the Broncos right now. And this week for the Broncos, this past weekend for the Broncos, was almost as bad as it could have been. And it started with Thursday night with obviously the Broncos not just losing, but blowing a halftime lead that they had. Broncos don't get any help on Saturday.
Yep.
It would have been a little more advantageous if the Steelers would have been able to take care of the Ravens. Ravens run away with that game. That really seems like a team that you do not want to face in the playoffs.
It was that
now.
Russ fumble, man.
Oh.
They had the game. It
Yeah.
was a great play. Able to get out the pocket, scramble, get something to the 2-yard line. I think he's going to slide.
Yep.
Sure enough, he tries to Superman the defender and loses the football. Man.
How old is he? 36?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a quarterback. You're a
Yeah.
36-year-old quarterback. What are you doing?
Yeah. I think those high impact plays when he's scrambling, he tends to cough up the football.
Yeah.
So I think I saw Red Tomlin's lip like, just slide. Just slide.
Yeah.
Please. So that's why we lost.
Was Tomlin calm for that one, or was he screaming at him like Sean was last year?
You know, I think Tomlin's like calm but stern.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
He doesn't have to go to level 12, but when he's, definitely wants to get his message across.
It's like when your parents aren't screaming at you mad,
Yeah.
they're disappointed.
They're disappointed, man.
And they talk at you. That hurts even more.
Yeah.
So Broncos don't get that help, but it's like, okay, that would have been like a nice cherry on top.
Yeah.
Kind of lining up a Broncos-Steelers first-round playoff matchup, but don't really need that. So then yesterday comes around, and we're looking at Broncos could clinch a playoff spot yesterday. Maybe we're doing an emergency pod later last night if they do. But you have the Broncos are looking for the Colts to lose. They're playing the Titans. They blow them out. The Titans made it a little closer at the end. I think it was 38-30, but at like halftime, you kind of knew that the Colts were going to win that game. So it's like, okay, we really didn't expect the Titans to win that game. So, okay, let's see if the other game, let's see if the Browns with DTR can beat the Bengals. None of us expected it.
No.
But the very first drive, the Browns are right there. They're about to take the lead on the Bengals, and then they fumble at the 1 yard line. Was that DTR that fumbled too?
I don't know. They got a whole bunch of issues over there. They just rotating so many guys, and I don't know who's who anymore.
It's a very good point. So it's like instead of going up 7-0, next time I look at the score, the Bengals are up 14-0. Okay, well,
Game over.
They're going to win that one. And obviously the Bengals is the one that we've been concerned about for a month here. And then it's like, well, Broncos aren't going to clinch. Can they at least get some help? Can the 49ers beat the Dolphins? No. Mike McDaniel beats his former mentor and boss, Kyle Shanahan. So, Todd, the Broncos. Oh, and then, no, there was one good piece of news. So, all the bad things happened. Pretty much all the bad things happened. That means the Colts are still alive chasing the Broncos. The Dolphins are still alive chasing the Broncos. And the Bengals are still alive chasing the Broncos. One good piece of news that happened, and this one hurts Broncos country. The Chiefs won. And why that is good news, I didn't expect anyone to be cheering for the Chiefs in Broncos country, but the Chiefs winning means that if they beat the Steelers, and the Chiefs are favored, if they beat the Steelers on Christmas, just 2 days from now, they'll have the number 1 seed clinched, which means...
I thought they already clinched it.
No. I think because the Bills won yesterday.
Oh, dang. I thought
So if the Bills would have lost, and they were down at halftime.
Yeah.
They were losing to the Patriots 14-7. Bills come back, win that game. So if they win on Wednesday, then they clinch the 1 seed. They have nothing to play for in Week 18 when they play the Broncos. Broncos only need to win one more game. If they beat the Bengals this week, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they don't, it doesn't matter what anyone else does in Week 18. As long as the Broncos win, and you might as well have that be a meaningless game for the Chiefs, right? I mean, can we cheer for that? Are you going to be able to cheer for the Chiefs on Christmas?
I mean, it is what it is. I don't like knowing that we beat the B team to get into the playoffs. So hopefully we can just beat the A team of the Bengals, and then we won't have to worry about that game. Then we both will have nothing to play for, I guess.
Yeah, and that would be great. Maybe seeding for the Broncos, but at that point, if the Broncos are in, that would be amazing. And you are right, like the euphoria that would be there in Cincinnati, beating the Bengals to eliminate them from the playoffs, to clinch your own playoff spot when the stakes were so high. You've clinched a playoff spot with a week left to go, as opposed to, I mean, it would still be awesome for the Broncos to clinch a playoff spot in Week 18. But against the B team, and you know you're having no rest. You're probably going on the road to Buffalo the next week. That's why winning this game would be so huge. But since we're not going to know that one before the Chiefs play on Wednesday, I think you got to be cheering for the Chiefs, because I'd rather play Carson Wentz and a Chiefs team that has nothing to play for than be playing Patrick Mahomes, who's wanting a bye week after this. So just keep that in mind there.
I don't think the Chiefs B team is just like trash though.
No,
And I think they still got Andy Reid calling the plays.
maybe.
But it is a little bit easier of a game when you talk about like star quarterback versus. Is he an ex-star quarterback?
He did get paid a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid quarterback.
But like he
Kurt-
fell. Yeah, he was until he got hurt. But I mean, now he's like been a third string backup for some teams in the past. So give me Carson Wentz, not Patrick Mahomes. I might be playing scared, but I just want the Broncos to make the playoffs. Give me the easiest path there. So the Broncos could also make the playoffs this week, even if they lose. Todd, what do you think about the Giants being able to beat the Colts? The Giants who have the number 1 seed.
They don't even want to beat the Colts.
Yeah,
they want to keep their number 1 seed, so that's not happening.
That's a great point. Well, then, if that just happens, the Broncos aren't making the playoffs. The other games the Broncos will be cheering for, Browns to beat the Dolphins.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
The Dolphins, they're not a scary team, but they're back whole, and they're trying to do something. So I don't think they're going to lose to the Browns.
They're back whole?
Back whole.
Okay.
Hole is not. There's 2 different holes. You got HOLW and you got WHO.
I couldn't let you slide on that one. You wouldn't have let me slide on that one. And then a little bonus that Broncos could be cheering for: Texans to beat the Ravens. Could that happen?
It could, but I didn't like the way the Texans played against the Chiefs.
I agree.
So,
Totally agree with that. Yeah, Tank Dell, man, that was brutal.
yeah, that's rough.
Incredible he was able to hold on to that pass and get a touchdown while going through that horrific of an injury.
Yeah.
Second major injury in a year. Feel awful for him. Hope he's going to be okay. And then chances of the Patriots beating the Chargers?
You never know. They went toe-to-toe with the Bills for a long time.
Yeah, they did.
But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, so Broncos take care of business. Beat the Bengals on Sunday. And you got nothing to worry or on Saturday, yeah. Thank you. And you can party on Sunday.
Yeah. No, we still got the playoffs.
You got 2 weeks until the playoffs. Though.
No, you can't take it off the prize, man. That's how it happens. You get that liquor in your system. All of a sudden, them toxins start getting created, and then all of a sudden, you're just done.
It sounds like you have some experience with that.
No.
You don't.
I've made it to the mountaintop, so
That's true.
I'm good.
So Todd, I gotta ask. We kind of just went through all of these scenarios. Is it time to panic for the Broncos in terms of like missing the playoffs? Because not gonna lie, last week I was extremely confident the Broncos are gonna make the playoffs.
Yep.
After this loss, I know it's concerned some Broncos fans. So I wanted to ask you, are those Broncos fans that are concerned right now, are they right, or should they take a deep breath?
Just take a deep breath. We hold our destiny in our own hands. We have 2 games to do it, and that's why I'm not panicked. I think the Broncos are a good team. They went up against a good team in the Chargers.
Yeah.
Ultimately fell short, but they have 2 very winnable games in the next 2 weeks. And because we control our own destiny, we don't have to worry about anything. We don't have to be panicked. I think that this team, with a veteran coaching staff, has the ability to find a way to win 1 out of the last 2 games.
Broncos are still 4-1 in their past 5
Come on,
games.
man.
Like the world is not falling right now. The sky is not falling. And as you said, it really sucks to kind of admit this. The Chargers are a good team. They're a playoff team right now. Jim Harbaugh has taken a little bit of the chargering out of the Chargers. So it's not like they went out there and lost to a really bad team. No, the Broncos can beat any team that's below 500. They've proven that. And you know what? The Bengals are below 500 right now. 7-8 team right now. And so I agree with you. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay.
If they were 8-8, would you be nervous? I mean,
according to the people that say Broncos can't beat good teams, yeah, that half a game makes a big difference. But I really think why it's not a big deal. I do think the Chiefs, unfortunately, I don't know, are going to beat the Steelers, and I think the Chiefs are going to be playing no one. So I think because of that, in Week 18, you're going to be playing a backup team at home where they're playing for nothing. You're playing for everything. That game is, I just fall back on, and it's like, again, still want the Broncos to beat the Bengals. It would be awesome for them to do it in Week 17 instead of Week 18. But you have a game that you're playing backups. Come on. They're going to win that game. So I think the Broncos are okay.
Do teams always play backups if they clinch the number 1 seed?
Not necessarily, especially because
they're
the
gonna
one
have a
number
bye
1
next
seed gets a
week.
bye.
Yeah.
But what I think what would happen, this is just a guess, is they might start Mahomes for a half, and then in the second half put other guys in. Because what you don't want, especially with Mahomes, I mean, it seems like he has an injury every single week now. You just don't want to put him out there for 30 extra minutes of football. So especially with Mahomes, I wouldn't be surprised if they play all of their starters except Mahomes and Kelsey.
Yeah.
But Mahomes and Kelsey is like their team right there. It's their offense at least. So I don't expect them to be putting a full squad out there.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's the AFC West opponent. I think if I had the ability to, even if the Broncos clinched the number 1 seed, if there was a way for us to knock the Chiefs out, I would go for it.
But that would mean that you're letting the Bengals in if you're the Chiefs.
So?
Would you rather let the Broncos in with a rookie quarterback or the Bengals, who would be on a big-time win streak? And the Bengals, Patrick Mahomes has only lost to 2 quarterbacks in the playoffs ever.
Yeah.
Tom Brady twice and Joe Burrow once.
Well, I know. Well, for the Bengals, if we're a good offense, I want to play the Bengals. I don't want to play the Broncos if I'm a good offense because the Broncos are going to be tough. They have a good defense, good pass rush, good secondary. If I'm Patrick Mahomes, I look at the Bengals giving up almost 50 points a week. Like, I want to play them.
That's a fair point.
That's just, if I put myself in Patrick Mahomes' shoes.
That's a really good point. Man, there's something to think about there. Let's just hope we don't even have to think about that because the Broncos wrap up a playoff spot on Sunday. And we've got our guy, Brian Baldinger, joining us in just a second after I give a shout out to our friends over at Bet365. Where, Todd, this is a time to be over at Bet365. We had Broncos football on Thursday. We had the college football playoffs on Friday and Saturday. We had NFL on Saturday, Sunday. Tonight, we got NFL on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday coming up. And then, of course, bowl games sprinkled in here and there. There is so much going on. And, of course, next week, in the middle of the week, we've got college football playoffs again. And if you want to get in on all the action, that's not mentioning Nuggets, Avs going on right now. You can download the Bet365 app. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Deposit $10, place a $5 bet, bless you, and bet $5. And you're going to get $150 in bonus bets over at Bet365. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now or go to the App Store and download the Bet365 app where if you want to play, they've got it all because they are all about the unordinary. And over at Bet365, it is never ordinary. They've got all sorts of different bets that you can get to. So make sure to download the app, deposit $10, place a $5 bet, get $150 in bonus bets. Must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, once help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And we got to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Toyota. You guys know that we're live from the Toyota Lounge every single day, and Toyota is the official vehicle of the DNVR. If you guys are looking for a brand new car, there's no better time to buy a car than at the end of the year. They usually have good deals, and you can check out a lot of great deals from Toyota. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, there's a Toyota truck that's just right for you, like the Tacoma and the return of the iconic Land Cruiser. You can check out your Front Range Toyota stores. They have plenty to choose from, so you can visit Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. They have the Auto Nation Toyota Rapport and Centennial, the Courtland Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of the DNVR.
Without further ado, let's bring on our guy, Brian Baldinger, who is presented by Verizon and our insider access by Verizon. New customers get up to $800 in a prepaid MasterCard to pay off your current smartphone loan when you switch. And let's go out to the insider access with our guy, Baldy. Baldy, how's it going? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I'm in the spirit. I hope you guys are as well. Good to be with you. Thanks.
Yeah, Baldy, we're trying to move on from that Chargers loss. And before we're on to Cincinnati officially, I got to ask, what happened in that second half for the Broncos playing against the Chargers, where the first half was going so well, had a lead, were dominating on offense, outside of one drive, dominated them on defense, and then it really all flipped in the second half?
Well, the Chargers got some explosive plays that they're not used to getting. Whether it was Justin Herbert on the, just scrambling and guys not being able to contain him, or, Hassan Haskins on just a little flip where, you break a tackle and you go the distance, or Darius Davis, just getting behind the corner there and, Justin Herbert making some ridiculous play with Zach Allen all over him. I thought those were plays that they had not given up. And the Chargers they hadn't been making those plays either. They've been a 17-point offense until Thursday night. And then I thought the offense had plenty of chances in the fourth quarter, down 27-24. They had 3 straight possessions. Now, I don't know how Marvin Mims isn't interfered with that go ball. I mean, I know Bo underthrew him a little bit. Yeah. It was a great move by Marvin to get free. I don't know how Tariq still isn't called right there for that pass interference call. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the guy was looking at, to be honest with you. But, they had opportunities, even down 27-24, and they couldn't make plays in order to overcome that.
Baldy, as I watched the game, I felt like I saw a lot of costly penalties, whether it's penalties going into the second half, penalties that extended drives. As the Broncos are now approaching the playoffs, is this something that, Bronco fans should be nervous about, us having too many costly penalties?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be cautious about. Obviously the big penalty was on fair catch interference. I mean, it's kind of a crazy call and crazy play, but the Chargers got three points there at the end of the half on that particular play. The guy calls for a fair catch, you got to get out of the way. So that was costly, but yeah, I mean, I think it'd be concerned. I mean, they're trying to beat a team with a good record right now, and the Chargers, kind of jumped in front of them right there on Thursday night, and that was a big part of it.
Baldy, speaking of concern, we're kind of looking at the Broncos' playoff picture now. They still control their own destiny. If they beat the Bengals, if they beat the Chiefs, they're in. They could still be in with other teams losing. But when you look at the final two games for the Broncos, you're playing a red-hot Cincinnati team in Cincinnati. They got another win yesterday. And then Week 18, you're playing the Chiefs, but the Chiefs might have the 1 seed wrapped up. Is it panic time for the Broncos in terms of maybe not making the playoffs, or do you think they're okay?
Well, I don't think they're okay. I mean, this is, anybody that's seen Joe Burrow play this year, I mean, he's as good as anybody. I've seen him twice live this year. And, I literally talked to him before the first Raven game, Week 5, and he just told me, I got to be perfect today. And he was practically perfect. And they still lost. I think they scored 38 that day. Look, I mean, I would pay StubHub prices if Surtain matches up on Jamar Chase. Yes. For a game. I mean, I'd pay big price to go watch that matchup. I think I might see that. Or maybe they put, they could do it a couple different ways. You could double Chase and put Surtain on T. Higgins and let them, because their ball's going to go to one of those two guys. Osavich is a good player. Josavash, she's a good player. He got a touchdown last week. But I think they'd be okay. But I'm a little concerned about that corner on the other side, whether it's Mathis, whoever it is right now. Levi Wallace didn't play, so they're down a man on that side, and this is a team that literally wants to throw it every down.
Yeah. The Bengals have that high-powered offense, so I think the Broncos are definitely going to have to come ready to play. We keep talking about the Bengals offense versus the Broncos defense, but I want to ask you, how do you feel like the Broncos offense matches up against the Bengals defense? Because I feel like they're going to have to put up 28 or more points to be in this game.
I agree, and they're going to have to be aggressive. And it has not been their style to come out and just start, I don't think you have to come out and just throw it all over the yard. Who knows what the weather's going to be like, if that's going to be a factor. I mean, I'm here in New Jersey right now. It was 9 degrees this morning. I don't know what it's going to be in Cincinnati on Sunday. But I just think that you're going to have to probably open it up a little bit. You got to be able to handle Trey Hendrickson. He's their best and really only pass rusher. You got to have a plan for him because he will ruin your offense if you allow him to. He's a very relentless player. So I think Sean knows him pretty well from his days in New Orleans. I think he drafted him. So I'm sure he knows, well aware of what his motor is like. But they've given up a lot of big plays. They've given up a lot of rush yards this year. They're not deep on the defensive line. But, you got to play some keep away from Joe Burrow in this game.
And because of that, Baldy, do you think Bo Nix kind of has to have that Joe Burrow mentality? I mean, Joe Burrow told you before that Baltimore game, I got to be perfect. Do you think Bo Nix, in order to keep up with Joe Burrow in that offense, kind of has to be perfect? And do you think he has it in him to be able to keep up with Joe Burrow with having a better supporting cast around him on both sides of the ball than Burrow does?
I don't think that's fair to Bo to try and stay with Joe. Joe's just one of a kind. Nobody goes through progressions like that guy. Nobody is as stick accurate as he is. That's if he could go 5 out every single play and just run an aerial circus, that's what he would like to do. Now, he gets hit a lot. Myles Garrett got to him a few times the other day, but he's just relentless. And so that's what he wants. I don't think that's really necessarily what Bo has to do. But look, if they start scoring the way they're capable of scoring, you might have to get into a shootout, and you might have to play that style. And instead of hand it off to, I don't know, Blake Watson this week or whoever's healthy, I don't know that he's ready and he has the necessary personnel around him to try to go shot for shot with Joe Burrow.
Baldy, if the Broncos lose this week, then they're going to have to win the last game of the season. and everybody's talking about, kind of wanting the Chiefs to clinch the first position in the division. That way they can play the backups and they can just get into the playoffs. I'm not a fan of it. I want to beat you at your best, but do you feel like it matters, or as long as you get in, it doesn't really matter how you get there?
If you get in, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, they had a field goal blocked to, that could have beaten the Chiefs the last time. And so I'd just go play football, go beat them. They were in your division. They beat them last year. Mahomes has owned Denver since he's come into this division. Go beat Mahomes. I wouldn't wait around and see if the Chiefs are going to play their guys, because if you play that game, Carson Wentz, I know Carson pretty well. I know he's been a backup now, and, his time as being a starter is over. But I wouldn't bet against Carson Wentz. He's going to embrace every opportunity to go and show everybody that he belongs in this league, that he can still play in this league. So that mentality of, well, hopefully they don't have anything to play for. That way, we're going to beat them. That's just the wrong mentality to have, period, if you're trying to get into the playoffs.
And Baldy, speaking of wrong mentality, I think Broncos country's had a little wrong mentality on how they view the Chiefs in the playoffs. A lot of Broncos country wants to play the Chiefs in the playoffs, wants to match up against them because, they're the worst 14-1 team in the history of the NFL. Yeah, that's true, but they're still 14. They just don't find a way to lose. How scary is this Chiefs team once they get into the playoffs? Is it a team that other teams should want to see and not be afraid of, or is it just a team that always wins?
I would be afraid to play them. I don't care what their record is, how many one-score games they've won, or how they've won them. They got Charles Omenihu back on defense. That pass rush line of Karlaftis, Omenihu, Dana, and Chris Jones is about as good as it gets in this business right now, getting after the quarterback. And then if you say, okay, the best single defensive coordinator in his business coordinates that defense in Steve Spagnuolo and his ability to get to the quarterback and affect him. I don't know. Defensively, I think they're very good right now. And so offensively, Mahomes, he's supposed to have a bad ankle. He's supposed to be bummed out. He's not supposed to be 100%. And on the opening drive, he goes 15 yards, breaks 3 tackles, and gets crushed in the end zone for the opening touchdown of the game. The guy just doesn't know how to quit. He doesn't know how to ever take any games off. So Mahomes into the Chiefs in the playoffs, I wouldn't bet against him.
Mm. Baldy, I got to ask you real quick. They say Riley Moss might be back for this game. Is that a huge piece for the Broncos? Because I feel like if he's back, that gives them freedom to have Pastor Tan follow Jamar Chase. But if he's not there, then you have to find a new game plan because they have too many weapons.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And Riley's a good player. I don't know how much rust he's going to have on him, how healthy he's going to be. But I thought when Riley was out in his game with Surtain and Jones and the group back there, PJ, and Jaquan, I thought that was about as good a secondary as there was in football. They all understood their positions. Sometimes it's difficult for teams to match up and figure out things around the way Surtain can, but they have figured it out where they don't break down. I think if they get Riley Moss back, it makes them much more competitive against that passing game and what Joe Burrow can do.
And Baldy, if they have Riley Moss back, Todd mentioned it, that could allow the freedom of just Pat following Jamar all game. And that matchup right there, Pat Surtain against Jamar Chase, is that the best wide receiver in the NFL going up against the best cornerback in the NFL? Is this like a matchup that you don't see very often that is just one for the books?
It's a classic. I mean, Justin Jefferson might have something to say about the best receiver. Those two are pretty competitive back and forth. But no, I mean, Jamar is having, he could easily win this Triple Crown here this year. Cooper Kupp had done it a couple years ago. But yeah, I mean, this is what Surtain lives for. He lives for that. Look, he did it against Javonte. He's not going to win every matchup with Jamar. He's just too strong with the ball is in the air. But the length of Surtain, competitive fire, his ability to move, break on the ball, this is elite right here. And so, and Joe's going to throw it to him if he's covered because he trusts Jamar to go win that battle. And he sort of contested balls, jump balls, he trusts his receiver to go get it. And like Jamar said last year, I'm open. I'm always bleeping open. And I think Joe feels that way. And so I honestly think this could be one of the best individual matchups in a game this year. I can't wait to watch it.
I can't wait either. And a little tidbit, the only time Jamar Chase and Pat Surtain have gone up against each other, Pat held Jamar to 1 catch for 3 yards. Now, that was years ago, but still, if Pat has that performance, Broncos are coming away with the win here. And so our final one for you, Baldy, is what is the key for the Broncos to beat the Bengals, and will they be able to do that this Saturday?
Well, I think that, they gave up uncharacteristically a lot of rushing yards the other day. That 53-yard run by Gus, or 43-yard run by Gus Edwards, they haven't given up anything like that. And I thought they were much better up front. Now, they had some broken tackles and whatnot, but they can't let Chase Brown beat them in the run game. Like, they got to be able to force them into passing situations, and you can get to Joe Burrow. Their tackles are not great. You got a rookie on one side. They got a backup on the other side right now. They got to win the matchups on the edges. Benito's, I think, has got to have a great game, but they can't let, Cincinnati sting them for runs like they gave up last week.
Yeah, 100%. Baldy, thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you maybe after the Broncos clinch a playoff spot next week or going into clinching a playoff spot. Thank you so much, Baldy.
Thanks, Todd. I'll talk to you guys next week. Good luck this weekend.
Sounds great. Thank you, Baldy. And shout out to Baldy for joining us early this week because we've got a little different schedule this week with the holidays, and I'll tell you guys about that. Plus, Todd, let's break down the keys to beating the Cincinnati Bengals after I give a shout out to our friends over at Bird Call, where you guys probably are cooking a big meal on Christmas. So Christmas Eve tonight, or even Thursday, the day after Christmas, you might want to check out our friends over at Bird Call to get delicious food that you don't have to cook. Might I recommend the Southern Chicken Sandwich over at Bird Call. You get the crispy chicken, pimento cheese, Southern coleslaw. I'll probably be doing this in the next day or two. And if you want to get a deal, they're going to hook you up. If you get a bird in a box, you get either 2 crispy sliders or 1 slider and 2 tenders, plus tots or fries, pickles, and one of their signature sauces for just $9.95. And if you like it hot, you can upgrade to Nashville hot tenders. And they're going to give you another deal. They're going to give you 25% off any order $15 or more by using the promo code DNVR over at eatbirdcall.com to grab this order now through the end of December. That's eatbirdcall.com. Use that code DNVR, and you got to check them out. It's delicious. You guys are going to love them, especially during this holiday season. And if, as Todd says, get a bird in a box.
Yep. And while you're doing that, you might as well wash it down with a nice Coors Light. Man, we love Coors Light. We keep it on set here. And nothing goes better with good food than Coors Light. If you guys want to choose chill, it's time to choose Coors Light. You know that they're ready for you and the crew when the mountains turn blue. Shout out to the year. I think, he might need some money for that trademark. But Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
Baldy, let's look. Not Baldy.
He's gone, man.
I want him back.
You trying to replace me already? Golly.
Never, Todd. So let's dive into the Bengals. The Broncos, as I mentioned. And did I say it again?
No.
The Broncos are an underdog.
Yeah.
First time in a couple of weeks. No,
No, they were underdog against the Chargers, right?
You're right. I don't know what I'm saying. Broncos are underdogs. Yeah, I guess. Thinking about that bird in a box. And Broncos are underdogs. Just like last week, they were 3-point dogs. They're 3-point dogs again to the Bengals on the road. Is that right? Are the Broncos the ones that are, not supposed to win this game?
That's tough. Bengals at home. I think Bengals aren't a better team, but they have a better offense.
Yeah.
If you gotta be honest about that. And with them, you're just gonna have to put up points. So I understand the odds maker saying that, the probability of the Bengals putting up 3 more points than us is probably a little bit higher than us outscoring them right now. But I think we just need plays on defense like we did, like we had not last week, but the 2 weeks before that.
I like that a lot because my question to Baldy, it sounds ridiculous. Like, can Bo really keep up with Joe Burrow? Can you ask him to do that? That's something you hope you can ask Bo in 2 years from now or next year. Like, hey, you got to go win this game against Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. You got to keep up with them. We're paying you now a lot of money, and we don't have as many resources on defense. But when you look, like, that's how teams beat the Bengals is Lamar Jackson goes out there and plays just as good as Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow right now is playing out of his mind, and everyone knows that, but so much out of his mind. He leads the league in passing attempts, so they're just saying, we're not going to run the ball. You're going to pass the ball. He leads the league in completions. He almost is throwing for 70% completion. He leads the league in passing yards, almost 4,300 right now with 2 games left. He leads the league in touchdowns, 39 touchdowns. He only has 8 interceptions despite 39 touchdowns. He leads the league in yards per game, 281 thrown. He has 108.5 passer rating. I mean, you can go on and on about how good this guy is. And I think that is probably the key. I think you nailed it. A pick six, a sack fumble that happens on the 10-yard line, gives the Broncos only 10 yards to have to score. Yep. It's going to have to be a game-changing play with Bo, not outplaying Joe Burrow, but Bo playing pretty damn good. The good thing is their defense is awful.
Yeah.
They did hold DTR to 6 points this past week, but it's DTR in a 3-13, 3-12 Browns team, like a really bad Browns team, especially without Jameis Winston. So Bo's going to have to be great.
Yeah.
And this Cincinnati defense has been really bad. They've given up, outside of this past week, Todd, in their, I'll just read how many points they've given up in recent weeks. 27, 20, 44, 34, 35, 24, 37. You score 30 points and you give yourself a shot. You don't score 30, probably not winning.
Yeah. And I think we're going to need like 14 from defense.
Ooh,
or at least
14.
Put us in position to score 14 points. Because we have a good offense, but I don't know when we've scored 30 by ourselves this year.
Okay.
Just the offense.
That's fair.
So the Bengals are going to give you a lot of chances to put points on the board. Number one thing this game, though, we got to protect the football. We got to get some takeaways, and we got to protect the football because we can't lose the turnover battle. I think we're going to win this game.
Yeah, 100%. You're spot on that. And I know this is with the Broncos' defensive help, but the Broncos have shown they can be in these type of games. In the past, 5 weeks, they've scored as a team 38 points, 29 points, 41 points, 31 points, 27 points. Past 5 games, they're averaging over 30 points per game.
Yeah.
And so they are showing that they can be this type of team, which is encouraging. And it's exciting. Bad and boring is done with this Broncos team. They are good and fun. And if they beat the Bengals this week, Todd, it is going to be as good and fun as any game we've had since Super Bowl 50.
It'll be I'm trying to think about that. Yeah, I'm sure it'll probably be up there. You know, if they win
You're
this
like,
game.
whoa, I've been on some of those teams since then. Let me
I had to
think.
think about it.
Clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah. I think it'll be a huge win. We
Yeah.
just need like 7 from Benito or 7 from Pat.
Yep.
I think we can get it done.
Man, and if this is it's on NFL Network, so it's not a true like nationally televised game, but this is the only NFL game that's on Sunday at this window. And I think they had an opportunity to do it this past week on Thursday Night Football, but if Benito or Pat want to kind of take a stronghold on Defensive Player of the Year, this is a game to do it. A pick 6 from Pat on Joe Burrow, a strip sack from Benito, or a pick from Benito and he takes it back to the house, or a fumble that he catches in midair, but the ball was thrown backwards, so it's technically a fumble and not a pick that he takes back to the house.
Yep.
That is how you win Defensive Player of the Year. And Todd, it might just be destiny that the Broncos beat the Bengals to clinch a playoff spot. Because the last time the Broncos clinched a playoff spot, it was beating the Bengals. You were on that team. Super Bowl 50 year. It was a couple weeks before the season actually ended. You guys beat the Bengals to clinch a playoff spot. But not just that. The week before, you guys had just come off a 34-27 point loss. The Broncos lost last week, 34-27. So it is setting up to be the exact same scenario that you guys had in Super Bowl 50. A couple weeks before the season's over, losing 34 to 27. Yeah, they're not as good as that one right now. But coming off at 34-27, then you beat the Bengals to clinch your spot to the playoffs. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So we don't have to wait till week 18 to play Carson Wentz and the Chiefs.
Nope, get it done. Week 17
happening this Saturday. I love it, and I also love the Toyota chat. We got some super chats rolling in. Before we hit those, hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in with us, rocking and rolling with us today. And the first super chat coming in from the great one who says, Sean should check his ego instead of the media.
No.
I heard, no? You don't think so?
No. You need your head coach to be, I'm not saying that, but I think he needs to be very confident in his abilities to lead the team.
And to be fair to Sean, he put the blame on himself. He pointed the finger at himself yesterday in his press conference. He said he needs to do some things better. He said the team needs to do some things better. But I do trust Sean knowing how to handle a team.
Yeah.
He handled, he's shown that he handles different players differently, and I trust him on that. And I don't mind him having a lot of confidence. Every head coach is very confident. Sean makes it known that he's confident. And yeah, does he have a big ego? Of course he does. Does he deserve it? He's been a coach for 17 years in the NFL now, a head coach, and he's never had fewer than 7 wins. It's pretty damn good. I mean, see what Kyle Shanahan's doing this year, and he's getting so much heat. He might not get to 7 wins. Kyle Shanahan's had multiple seasons of not getting to 7 wins, and he's coached for less than half the time that Sean Payton has. So I'd like
and
that he brings that swag.
17-game seasons. They're not 16-game seasons anymore.
Very true. Another opportunity to lose another game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Our friend Rod Blocker comes in and says, Sean needs to stop trying to force Rookie of the Year on Bo. Versus the Chargers, that's what it looked like. We didn't get stop running the ball. He got cocky and stopped. Can't blame defense when we kept going 4 and out.
I don't think he's trying. I don't think he cares about Rookie of the Year, honestly. Ooh. And I think it would be nice, but just Sean putting the ball in Bo's hands, he's been doing that all season. Look at the amount of times he's thrown the ball. He's thrown over like 33 times a game for like the last couple of weeks. So I don't think this is nothing new, you know? And so.
It's going to happen again this week.
Yeah, for sure.
As much as he wants to run it at the top of his play sheet, or he wants to say he wants to get Audric Estime more involved like he did say yesterday, this is going to quickly turn into a shootout. And Bo's going to throw the ball 40, 50 times in a win or a loss regardless. I think it's going to be that type of game, especially because that's the type of game that the Bengals play. I do think that Sean would have liked to get Bo Rookie of the Year, and I think maybe at times he was trying for that. Now he can't. Did you see what Jaden Daniels did yesterday? I mean, he has, unfortunately...
5 TDs.
He has that award locked up. Beat the Eagles, who were on an 11-game win streak. I know it was with a backup quarterback. Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, but unfortunately, that one's over.
Yeah.
So
because the game was over before Hurts got hurt.
Yeah, it was. 14-0
they were rolling.
Yeah, totally. So unfortunately, I think Jaden Daniels has that one locked up. Rod again chiming in with 2 more. He says, we need to win backing in. Run the damn ball, Sean. And don't put too much on Bo. We already proved people wrong without Rookie of the Year. VJ, make sure to follow Chase. Please. Pass Surtain on Jamar Chase. 100% of the plays. I know it's not going to be 100. I know you'll probably tell me how that's not possible, but as much as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think they're going to look at the Browns and Jerry Jeudy and try to find ways to shift, motion, adjust. Like, we're going to try our best to put 2 on Chase, but I guarantee they make it hard. Pause.
Especially on prime times.
You know.
But the only time Jamar Chase has played the Broncos, he was going up against Pat Surtain. He was targeted 4 times in the whole game. 1 catch for 3 yards. Jamar Chase right now is a Triple Crown season, which means he's leading the NFL in catches, leading the NFL in yards, leading the NFL in receiving touchdowns. It's only happened a couple of times. Cooper Kupp did it a couple of years ago. Right now, Justin Jefferson might be the best receiver in the NFL over the 5 or 10 year period. Right now, it's Jamar Chase. What's a winning stat line for Pat to hold Jamar to Broncos win if Jamar has, what stat line?
6 catches for 54 yards.
Totally agree. I was thinking right around that 60-yard mark. Honestly, maybe even 80. Just don't let him go off. And I trust Pat in not letting Jamar Chase go off because this is the best Pat's ever been.
Yeah, he's playing really well right now. I mean, that's our best game plan moving forward, just putting 2 on him. So
Yep.
I just know that they know that.
Right.
They
So
know that's
they're-
what we're going to want to do.
100%.
So we'll just have to be creative.
Yep.
Gotta be
And we got
creative.
one more day to break this down. Rod hit us with another super chat, but it's the same one. So thank you for the double super chats, Rod. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Hit us with a thumbs up on the way out. A little programming note here. We're going to be off the next 3 days with Christmas Eve, Christmas. And then instead of doing a show on Thursday, we decided to do one on Friday to lead you guys into the weekend. So we'll be off the next 3 days. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you Friday for one more show before the big game.
We all silly like the mayor.